ADHDers shouldn't have to be constantly searching for productivity hacks on Instagram or TikTok or here on YouTube. We shouldn't have to constantly ask ourselves if we're actually trying hard enough or if we're just lazy. We shouldn't have to feel defined by our productivity or lack thereof. And we shouldn't have to do any of that. And we do. We live in the world we live in. And my goal is to change that world, but also help you survive it until that change does come. Our bills, relationships, parenting, and more is affected by our productivity. It shouldn't be. We should have way more support and way less dire consequences for when we lack productivity. But that's not how things are right now. So I want to teach you the productivity hacks that you need to work with your ADHD brain. Hi there, my name is Megan, and this is the Neurocuriosity Club, the only YouTube channel that I know of that is specifically made for people who think they might be autistic, they might be ADHD, they might be both, but they're just not sure. Let's get curious about our brains together. All right, ADHD productivity hack number 1 is visual timers. So a lot of ADHDers experience something that used to be referred to as time blindness, although the blind and visually impaired community has asked us to move away from that term. So instead, a lot of us have started using the terms misperception of time or nonlinear understanding of time. And what this is, how this works, is basically, it's like being colorblind, but with time instead of color. It's not that we aren't checking the clock often enough or that we are late because we don't care. It's that we do not perceive the passage of time in a linear way. This is unfortunate because even though there is lots of interesting research about the passage of time and how it's actually far less linear than we think, we live in a society that practices linear time and expects people to perceive time linearly. And so we end up being late to things, missing things entirely, forgetting about things, or rushing out the door at the last minute. Or in order to prevent all of that, we end up in something called waiting mode. This is where you have an appointment at 3 p.m., it's 9 a.m., and you can't do anything because you are so terrified of missing that appointment at 3. So you just kind of sit around, afraid to get too engaged with anything. So I love my visual timer, but so does my 4-year-old. So I'm not totally sure where it is right now, but this is what they look like. This is a really cute rainbow one that I kind of wish I had, but mine's just pink and purple and normal and it's fine. But visual timers basically allow you to set a timer, and then as the time passes, the colored section slowly starts to disappear in order to show you what passing time actually looks like. I primarily use my visual timer in 2 main ways. Number 1 is to overcome the inertia that keeps me from starting a task. In my head, things take so much longer than they really take most of the time. Like cleaning the kitchen feels like a 4-hour thing for me, but when I actually do it, it usually only takes about 15 or 20 minutes. But no matter how many times I clean the kitchen, for some reason, my expectation of how long it's going to take stays at 4 hours. And that creates a lot of inertia, a lot of resistance for me. I don't want to start a 4-hour task. So what I'll do is I'll set my timer for a full hour, which is the longest amount of time it can measure. And I'll just start working. And then when I finish, I hit the little pause button on top and I look at the time and I see how long it took. And I'm trying to train my brain that way to accept that this only takes 20 minutes and not 4 hours, because it's not sinking in without the visual element. But I'm hoping with the visual element over time, I will start to absorb the knowledge that this only takes 20 minutes. The second way that I use this is to kind of trick myself into working more or doing something for longer. So basically I'll set the timer for 5 minutes and say you only have to do 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and then you're allowed to be done. But the thing is, the way a lot of ADHD brains work, mine included, is that we have a difficult time starting things, but we also have a difficult time stopping things. We have an inertia problem. And if I set my timer for 5 minutes and I tell myself I only have to do 5 minutes, but then that 5-minute mark hits and I'm in the middle of something, I will likely keep going and finish whatever it is I'm working on in order to get to like a good stopping point, if that makes sense. So this can like trick me into working more than 5 minutes by saying I'm only gonna work 5 minutes. It's a little bit of self-reverse psychology. ADHD productivity hack number 2 is body doubling. If you haven't heard of body doubling yet, you need to. It is so helpful, especially for ADHDers. What is body doubling? It's basically when other people just exist around you while you're trying to be productive. These people don't have to help you with your task. Heck, they don't even have to be doing anything productive themselves. They just have to exist in your space. This could mean your partner sits in your office with you just scrolling on their phone while you try to get a YouTube video edited. Or it could mean that you call your sister and you both kind of sit on the phone in silence while you do your taxes together. Now, I would say that this only works because I'm such an extrovert and I just love being around people, but the ADHD community actually seems to be pretty much in agreement on this, that this is really helpful for many of us, introvert or extrovert. ADHD productivity hack number 3 is procrastinating. If you absolutely cannot stand the task that you're supposed to be doing and you cannot make yourself do it no matter how many of these hacks you try, there's a really nice/terrible thing about being an adult, and that is there's always more shit to do. Don't want to clean out the garage? How about you do some meal prep? Laundry sounds like a nightmare? Maybe it's time to go through the mail. This doesn't always work if the task that you want to avoid is time sensitive, but if it's just another one of those tasks that, yeah, it needs done and it probably needs done soon, but I can convince myself to get into work mode by working on something else first. Again, we have an inertia problem. If you can overcome that, not through sheer force of will, because that's nonsense, but if we can overcome that by doing something that has a lower barrier to entry because it interests us more or it just sounds less terrible for some reason, do that. ADHD productivity hack number 4, write a to-do list, but only 5 items. The problem so many ADHDers have with to-do lists is that they quickly spiral out of control and lead to so much overwhelm that we end up doing nothing. I am the queen of this. My to-do lists are 40 items long. And part of me expects myself to get this done in 2 days. I'm one person taking care of 3 little humans and managing a household and running a business, and I have ADHD. It's not gonna happen. So when I look at my 40-item to-do list, I just feel discouraged. So what I've started doing is making 5-item to-do lists. I don't try to pick the most important things, by the way, or try to do them in the most efficient order. Oh, okay, I'll have a 40-item to-do list and I'll just chunk it up into 5 and I'll go in order of the most important and then the most urgent and then, all of that with the Eisenhower matrix. I don't do any of that. I just write down the first 5 things that come to mind that I know need done. Again, this won't always work if you do have time-sensitive things that need done and you do need to find ways to prioritize them. But unless something is truly time-sensitive, don't arbitrarily make it time-sensitive. Do things in an order that feels good. I think this is something that comes up a lot for ADHDers, so autistic and ADHD folks. The autistic part of our brain really wants to do things the most efficient way. I don't know about you, but for me, that's a huge part of my autism is I get so stuck when I can't do things the most efficient way. And this kind of list helps me break out of that because it's okay, I'm just gonna write down 5 things that come to mind. And it's but what if that's not the most efficient order? It's more efficient to start than to do nothing. That has been a huge breakthrough for me. And that leads to ADHD productivity hack number 5, do it inefficiently. Sometimes I go out of my way to do a task or a series of tasks in the most inefficient way. Why would I do that, you ask? And it's because I get so stuck and hung up on doing things efficiently that sometimes it's helpful to be no, I'm gonna do this in the most backwards kind of way that I can. Let's say I know I need to work out. Well, in my head, that means, okay, I need to work out. That means I need to shower after I work out. I can't shower until I work out. And then I get stuck, right? I get stuck in this loop of I have to work out, I have to work out, I have to work out, I have to work out. If I don't work out, I can't shower. And I really want to shower because I feel gross, but I can't work out because I feel gross. And I just get so stuck. So what I will do is I'll shower first and then I'll work out, which makes no goddamn sense, right? No sense at all. Completely nonsensical. But I actually go work out. Whereas I wouldn't go work out before, and then I wouldn't shower, and then the next day would come and I would get stuck in the same loop and I would go far too long without showering. I would just be uncomfortable. And why am I doing this to myself when I could just do it inefficiently? ADHD productivity hack number 6, throw your distraction. What do I mean by this? I mean literally take whatever's distracting you and chuck it across the room. Now, this is not me advocating for you to throw your laptop across the room, so please don't take it that way. But what I mean is, whatever's distracting you, get it physically away from you. For me, this does sometimes look like physically throwing my phone. I mean, I gently toss it onto a blanket or something. I don't just like chuck it at the wall, but I do physically throw my phone a little bit away from me just so that I can like escape its grip. This is another example of reducing the barriers to getting started with whatever it is you want to get done. Distractions serve as barriers because ADHDers often have trouble regulating our attention. It's not that we have a deficit, it's that we have a regulation issue. So if there are 4 things that we can see that we want to do, but the task we need to do, we can't physically see, we're gonna run into a lot of barriers because we're gonna have to get through all of those visual cues to do something more interesting. Now, if we can remove those visual cues by, say, throwing your phone gently onto a blanket that's slightly out of sight, you're going to reduce the barriers. ADHD productivity hack number 7 is June bugging. Now, I did not invent June bugging. I found it on Tumblr back in the day, actually, and I will go ahead and tag in the description the link to the original post so that the original creator of the term gets full credit. So wait, what is June bugging? It's a cleaning strategy that works exceptionally well for ADHD folks, but also anyone else who struggles with executive functioning. The gist is this. Basically, June bugs, when they try to get through a screen door, they kind of pick a spot. And then they'll like adventure away, but then they come back. And they adventure away and then they come back. It's like they think this spot is how they're gonna get through the screen somehow, but they keep like looking for other alternatives. Our brains work much the same way if we gently focus them on one task, right? So let's say you're trying to clean your bedroom. Way too big of an area. That would be like if the June bug was like, I'm just gonna try to get through this whole door. You know, no, the June bug picks a specific spot, and so should you. So instead of your whole bedroom, maybe you're just like, okay, the top of my dresser is a wreck. I just wanna clean the top of my dresser, okay? So that's your specific spot you're gonna keep coming back to. But let's say you're looking at the top of your dresser and there's some clothes. So you go to the closet to put those away. And in the closet, you find an old purse and you go through it because you know you left something important in there that you forgot about. And so you find the important thing, but you also find some concert tickets. And that reminds you, you were gonna make a really cool shadow box for all the concerts you've been to. So you pull out your phone and you get on Amazon and you start searching for shadow boxes. Do you see the problem? This happens to so many of us and it makes cleaning really hard. What June bugging does is it basically gives you permission to get distracted, but it also encourages you to gently return to your area without shame. When you find yourself on Amazon searching for shadow boxes, instead of saying, well, I'm already this far, I might as well keep going, don't get into the sunk cost fallacy. Just acknowledge that you're not doing what you set out to do, and that's okay. Set down your phone and return to the top of your dresser. If you want to learn more about June bugging and how to implement it as an ADHDer, I have a whole module on it in my Get Shit Done program, which you can check out more about in the description below. ADHD productivity hack number 8 is EFT tapping. So if you haven't heard of EFT tapping, at first it's going to sound very out there, but I'm telling you, it is scientifically supported both according to traditional Chinese medicine and traditional Western medicine. So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques, and EFT tapping is when you tap really specific spots, mostly on your face, while talking yourself through a difficult emotion. My therapist likes to say it's kind of like an exposure exercise. You expose yourself to really difficult or frustrating emotions that you would normally bottle up or repress or, you know, project onto other people, and instead you really allow yourself to feel them, which can feel deeply scary. But because you're tapping these really specific spots, you actually are calm while you're going through the difficult emotion instead of getting really amped up. The way this works according to traditional Chinese medicine is that the places you're tapping are meridian points where energy tends to get stuck. And the thesis of traditional Chinese medicine is that the flow of energy is what keeps us healthy and happy. And so by tapping these areas, you are encouraging flow. By the way, I'm not a traditional Chinese medicine expert. That's just like my paraphrasing, my understanding of how it works. If you have a better understanding of traditional Chinese medicine, please, please, please share what you know about EFT tapping in the comments. According to Western medicine, the spots that you're tapping help stimulate the vagus nerve, and it helps stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is the part of your nervous system that helps you calm down. It's like the anti-fight or flight. So as you tap these spots, you're getting calmer and calmer, which helps you deal with a difficult emotion through a calm lens instead of through a distorted, very high emotion lens. So what does this have to do with productivity exactly? Everything, literally everything. Emotions are amazing, and I don't think they're bad at all, but they can very much get in the way of getting shit done because our emotions demand to be felt. And when we refuse to do that, it's kind of like sticking some gum in the gears, right? Everything just kind of gets stuck, and it's really hard to move forward even with non-emotional tasks because part of your brain is using tons of energy to shove your emotions away. So when we take the time to process our emotions, especially through something like EFT tapping, where you can do so without getting super amped up and freaked out, something that helps you feel calm and feel your difficult emotions, it can help the gears keep moving forward. So you can do some EFT on a difficult emotion, and then you're like, okay, I have brain power freed up in order to do this like basic cleaning task. And ADHD productivity hack number 9 is to celebrate your wins as you go. The ADHD reward system in our brains does not work the same as a non-ADHD reward system. Delayed gratification just isn't very much a thing for us. And I don't mean that in a super like entitled millennial kind of way, like give me what I want right now. It's not like that. It's that the way dopamine releases in our brain is different compared to the way dopamine releases in a non-ADHD brain. We can work really hard at something over a long period of time and we can get it done. But at the end of it, we don't feel gratified. We don't get that burst of dopamine that non-ADHDers get. We know we should be proud of ourselves. We know we should feel good, but the chemistry in our brain just isn't lining up with that. Over time, this can really wear us down. And like, I'm getting a little emotional talking about it because it sucks to work so hard at something and then not even feel like it was worth it at the end, even though everyone says they're so proud of you and you objectively know you did something cool, but you just kind of feel meh. And eventually, when this happens enough, you start to feel like, what's the point in doing anything? The best way to combat this is with continuous rewards instead of just one big reward at the end. Every time you make just a little bit of progress toward your goal, I want you to freaking celebrate. And by the way, celebrating yourself and celebrating your effort doesn't have to look like spending money. If money's tight and you're like, well, I can't celebrate myself. Yes, you can. This can be as simple as wrapping yourself in a hug and swaying back and forth and just telling yourself, I am doing so good. I'm so proud. This can help release some oxytocin, which isn't dopamine, but still is a feel-good hormone and can really help us keep going. So those are my 9 ADHD productivity hacks. And if you want to learn more, or if you want to interact with a community of people who are also trying to be more productive and work with their brain and not against it, I really hope you will go to the description and check out the Get Shit Done program. It is the only program that I'm aware of that incorporates both emotional skills and practical skills alongside a community in order to help people like us get more done. Oh, and if you're seeing this before March 18th, we're starting a live round, which means I am teaching all of the lessons live in addition to weekly group coaching with me. So you get 2 hours of time with me every single week for 17 weeks. But if it's after March 18th, please don't stress. You can still join. The program is still incredible, and I can't wait to see you there. That's all for me today. I will see you all next time.